Hey everyone, welcome back. I have here with me today special guest Joanne McLean, and I'm really excited to talk with Joanne. Welcome, Joanne.
Thank you. It's great
Yeah,
to be here. It's great to see you live and in person.
I know it's fun, isn't it? Um, so Joanne is a best-selling author of urban fantasy and supernatural thrillers. And she has two series that have been published, the Dark Dreams trilogy and the Gift Legacy series. So, and you're joining me from Canada's west coast in where? British Columbia, is that?
Yes, yes,
On a little island called Denman Island. So,
that's right. So
eh,
Denman Island is a tiny little island that's between the mainland of British Columbia and Vancouver Island. And it's very, very small. It's about 1,600 people, I think, at last count, farming community and very dependent. So, yeah.
do you know everyone on the island?
You would think, wouldn't you? Especially since I've been living here more than 20 years. But no, I don't. I'm always meeting new people.
That's neat. And do people have vacation homes there, or is it mostly just a community of people who are just living there all the time?
I would say mostly people living here all the time, but there's certainly a surge in the summer, including the people that come here just for holidays and have holiday homes here.
Hmm.
But primarily it's full timers, and I think it's because it's a rural community. There's a lot of farms here, so it's mostly farming
What kind of
and
farming?
artists.
What kind of
Oh
farming?
gosh, cows, sheep, pigs, chickens in the animal side of things, and some donkeys,
Oh, I love
and
donkeys.
they're so sweet.
They
And then
are.
on the other side, on the vegetable side, there's all kinds of fields of hay and such for the animals, but there's
Mhm.
also vegetables, every kind of vegetable. There's a big market on the Saturday, a big farmer's market, and they make everything.
That's
You can
me.
get
That's amazing. That's like buying local is for
it really is.
a great example. So, all right. So, do you want to give us a quick description of your two series, The Dark Dreams and The Gift Legacy?
Sure. So the Dark Dreams series starts with this book, which is Bloodmark. And it tells the story of a woman whose name is Jane Walker, and she is born with these blood red birthmark that straps around her body. And it's, of course, been the bane of her existence. And so when these marks start disappearing, she's thrilled about that until one day she's out at the university and a professor sees the mark on the back of her hand and says to her, that's not a birthmark. That's a blood mark, and it's protecting you. So she has to figure out what she's being protected from before that mark disappears entirely. Oh, I love the expression on your face.
It's such a great story premise. I mean,
Oh,
that's
thanks.
fantastic.
It came from, I was inspired by Blind Spot, if you remember that NBC show where that woman pops out of a duffel bag in Times Square in the opening scene, and she's covered in tattoos from the neck down, and she doesn't remember how she got them or why she has them. And I thought, must be really odd to live with marks that weren't of your choosing,
Yeah.
like, and all the complications that would come out of that. So that's kind of
Yes.
where that one started. And then the
Wow.
other series is The Gift Legacy, and it starts with this book called Secret Sky. And it's 7 books long, and it tells a story about this woman who um, she knows something's wrong with her. She keeps snapping free of gravity and floating off. So she
Oh,
goes back to the West Coast. Both series are set on the West Coast in the Pacific Northwest. She goes back to her family's cottage to try to figure out what's wrong with her. And she falls from the sky, is gravely injured in hospital. And that's when she learns that there is this secret society of people who are just like her. And they're ruled by this group called the Tribunal. And they're not too happy to learn about Emmeline's existence because the only way you can get the gene of being able to fly is inheriting it or stealing it. So they're not convinced that she's as innocent or naive as she lets on when they first find her in the hospital.
oh
So
my
that's what that
gosh.
series is about.
Wow. And that you did that one first, correct?
I did that one. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
my first series. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you get started in being a writer? Is it something you always wanted to do, or how did you get to this point?
It's interesting. It's not something I always wanted to do, but I've got to say, I do recall when I grew up in Toronto, ice and snow in the wintertime and being slogging through it and being on the bus heading downtown for work and thinking, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a job where you could just stay home all day long? So I suppose I had been thinking about that for a while,
Mhm.
but I never intended to write a book, let alone a series, let alone 10 books. I now have 10 books, a novella, and several
That's
short
impressive.
stories out there.
And you've won awards too.
I have won awards. I
Awesome.
have. It's just been such fun. I've enjoyed it so much. I didn't intend to write a book. I'd spent five winters away from home with my husband. We were traveling. We were in the Baja. We were in Mexico, and we were also in Tucson. And it was the first winter back on the West Coast. And here, winters are windy, rainy, cold, miserable, dark. And so I was sitting in the living room after we'd gotten back and a hockey game was on. My husband was watching hockey and I could see the rain whipping by the chair by the window. And I just thought, how am I going to spend my winters? I'm just not used to this anymore. And so I had been reading an awful lot of urban fantasy. And I thought, I'm going to try my hand at this. I'm going to see if I can do this. And I have these dreams of flying. A lot of people have dreams where they fly. And I thought, I'm just going to try to take that one little scene of flying and see if I can put in words what it feels like. And I became so engrossed in that process, and the story kept growing and growing and growing. Before I knew it, I'd finished a book, and I had never thought that's where I would end up or that I would have a book. And so then the next part of the plan, once you have a book, is what do you do with it?
Right.
So that's where when I started the process, after I had I was advised to hire an editor, best advice I'd ever had. My brother-in-law told me that. Hired an editor. She helped me develop the project into a proper book.
Mhm.
And then I think I probably rewrote that one more than any other book because it was my first and it was just such a mess when I started off
Mhm.
the first version of it. And once it was in really good shape and I was pleased with it and actually proud of it, I wanted to share it. And so I did go, I think I sent out about 6 or 8 queries to agents, just thinking, maybe I'll try to get an agent who could get it published for me. But it was 2012 when I first put that book out. And back then you had to put the self-addressed stamped envelope in with your query letter.
Okay.
And so when I got the first one or two of those back, I thought, what am I doing? I'm getting this back and it's in my own handwriting and it's rather depressing. And I thought,
Oh.
you
Oh.
know, I, I don't have the patience to wait. I want to put it out and see if it's
Mhm.
got legs and see where it's going to go. I didn't know what I was doing. So I hired a partner publisher who did all the work for me. So they formatted the books into the format that it needed to be, and they arranged for a hardcover and a paperback cover and an ebook, and they created all the accounts with all the retailers and I didn't have to do anything. I just sat back and wrote the next book,
Mhm.
which was good. But by the time I had the third and fourth book ready to go, I was thinking, I can do this myself now. I've learned the ropes. I
Right.
can do it myself. So I created my own press called Windstorm Press. And I reissued the books with new titles and new covers and just brought them back to life again under my own press. And that was so gratifying.
Wow. It's a great, I mean, it's really fascinating how many different paths you can take
There,
and how to choose. I think that seems really smart to just help you figure out the ropes of it and just like getting the ISBN and like just all of those things that mm, I remember helping my dad publish a book and I didn't even know what half of that stuff was and it is very overwhelming. So
It's huge.
yeah,
There's so much to learn that is, I didn't have any frame of reference for this business because I was always in the corporate world is kind of where I lived. And so moving into this side of things and trying to figure it all out and doing the marketing, the
yeah,
social media. I didn't even have a Facebook account prior
yeah,
to putting the books out. And then of course, I had to because it's more or less a requirement that you have an online presence somewhere.
sure.
And and so then learning how to do tweets and learning how to
Yeah.
deal with Facebook and then Instagram. And I'm not on TikTok. I don't think I could go that far.
I draw the line there. I'm not doing that. And I, about 3 years ago, ventured into Instagram. I had never used it. I don't use Facebook much at all. I wasn't getting any interaction, so I've just kind of let that go dormant. But there's a lot to learn. What's your favorite platform of
Probably Instagram.
Instagram? I agree. It is so fun. I do it for my job. There's so many things that you can do. And just like the stories, and then there's just endless. And the minute you start looking around at other people's Instagram, it's you get ideas and you think, wow, that's really good, And so one idea feeds off another. So
Yeah,
but that's really cool. Yeah.
yeah. It's fun. I like that one. It feels like much more fun to me to do those ones than some of the other ones.
I agree. I used to like Twitter the most, and of course has changed, and
Hmm.
I still like it. I have people I interact with exclusively through Twitter, and it's or X, but uh but I Instagram is quickly becoming
Mm.
my favorite platform. All right. So you told us about your publishing experiences in and getting the books to market. How about the covers and the trailers? So uh hire a graphic designer or a graphic artist to do those
Well,
covers?
you've actually touched on a really interesting topic because when I put the books out initially, I hired a graphic designer and super talented lady, but she wasn't a book designer. And what I've discovered is that a book designer has a much better grasp of what your genre looks like and what the
Oh,
fonts should be to kind of signal what the book is about, because the cover has a job to do. It has to show the reader what the book, like what genre it is, and a little bit about it. Like you'll notice that there's a feel to a country and western book and there's a
yeah.
feel to a romance book, and it's much different than a thriller book cover, for example. And I knew I was having trouble with the cover because I actually had I was selling books at a market here on the island, and a fella came up to me and he said, I got it. He says, my name is Frank and I'm going to be frank with you, is what he said.
I wonder how
And
many times he says that.
he said, I was here a couple of weeks ago and saw you set up here, and I avoided you because I thought you were selling religious material. And that's because my book covers were beautiful, serene pictures of the ocean. They didn't tell the story
Ah,
that they do now. Like there's still an ocean in there, but
yeah.
you've got the grunge kind of
I was just
gold.
gonna say, yeah.
So it definitely so what I did was at that point, that's when I put them out. I changed the titles and I changed the covers, and it made a huge difference. As all of a sudden I was getting a lot more attention, a lot more people reading the books and reviewing the books. So I hired a professional, an American fella. Well, actually, he's British, but he lives in
Oh,
Florida. And JD&J are that is his company, and they do a fabulous job. And as a matter of fact, both Secret Sky, the first book, it
mhm.
won the Kobo Book of the Year cover for urban fantasy the year
Really?
it came out in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, so they got some kudos for that. And then the cover for Bloodmark and Scorchmark have both been chosen for an all author competition for the book cover as well. So
They're
yeah,
so appealing. It makes me
thank you.
want to like look at in Scorchmark. That woman is, oh, what's going on? And you can't see all her face, and it's dark, and then the bright in the back, and everything's good about that. Yeah.
They do a good job, really good job. And that's critical to being successful in this business is you have to have a good cover. There's no question.
And that whole, you can't judge a book by its cover. That's gone. I mean, working in a
Mhm.
library, covers are huge. I mean, and I'm looking at them all day long, and you just know like what draws people after a while. You
Mhm.
can't define it exactly, but you know it when you see it. And
I have with this book, I have that in a excuse me, frog in my throat, a 6 foot banner. And when I'm doing markets, that sits outside and I can
oh,
see people. They just see it and they kind of like beeline over to me. And I know it's because of that
you have such
figure on my
great
cover.
ideas. And so what's going on the back of like blood mark?
Mhm. On the
Uh
back cover,
yeah, what's going on the back?
it's just
Oh,
writing.
okay.
I thought about putting the awards on the back, and
Oh, okay.
I may do that. I've got them on the cover, the awards on the the three most prominent
Those little,
awards
yeah.
on the ebook, but
Mm-hmm.
not on this one because I usually when I'm signing them, I'll have a signed by the author sticker, and it gets to be too much on the
It's a
front of it.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
super neat. Yeah. And so are they all paperback ebook, and can you get hardcover, or are
I
they?
don't. I dropped the hardcover. I wasn't really selling very many of them, so
Mhm.
I just thought it's probably not worth it. So I just have the soft cover
Yeah,
and
that's
ebooks
smart.
out. Yeah.
Um, are they print on demand? Is that it? Does your
Yes.
yes. So
Yeah.
that seems to be the way to go. It
Well,
seems.
it certainly makes sense,
Yeah.
environmentally and everything else. It makes
Mhm.
sense
Yeah,
to do it that way.
it's true.
But yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's really neat. So, what are you working on right now?
I'm working on the audiobooks for the Dark Dreams series for this one. So
Okay.
I talk about learning experiences. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my goodness. So I took a course on how to set up the technical side of things and they you go through a voice warm up and how
Oh, okay.
if you can't do the characters in an animated like how some actors and actresses are really good at being able to do a high pitched voice and it's a woman and then a little lower pitched voice and maybe a children's voice and they can do all that and they can do it consistently. I can't. The
Mm-hmm.
best I can do is to bring the story to life by animating my voice as best I can.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that is harder than I first thought it would be. So I recorded the first half of the first book before I realized how flat it sounded. It really sounded terrible. So I had to go back and re-record it, really and probably over animating my voice because as I started listening to it, I thought, I'm bored listening to this. So I can't imagine anybody else is going to feel any differently. But I redid it and it's much better now. I'm almost finished the first book and then I'll have all three ready before I put them out.
Where are you when you're recording it? Are you in a quiet room or?
I'm in this room that I'm in
Mhm.
now. I have on the wall you don't see, I've got a curtain which dampens the noise a little bit.
Oh,
And it's a
okay.
small enough room that if I've got the door closed and I have to turn off I've got a air circulating system, I have to turn that off and I have to turn the heat pump off so that the fan doesn't come on. And then I have to be aware of the fan in the computer as well. So I have to listen for that because if the fan comes on, it gets recorded. Like it does pick up a little bit of a buzz in the background.
This is like
So,
learning by doing, isn't it?
oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. But it's been fun. I've got to say, I feel like I've accomplished something because I've learned something new, but I'm sure
Yeah.
glad I started with a series that's only 3 books because the other series is 7 books.
Yeah.
And it's taken me so long to do this first book. I can't imagine how long it would take me to do that. But I may start on that series depending on how successful the audiobook is for this series.
And you've you took a class on how to the technical part of it.
Yeah.
So, you know how to connect it to the cover, like how to get it to sell, like to to bring it to market. I did like
Yes.
I'm trying to get my head around how you even do that. Like,
Well, you create an audio file for each chapter, separate audio file. And the audio files are fairly easy to create using a free software called Audacity.
oh,
So
I
I
know
down
that one. Yeah.
so I downloaded that, and really it's about how you when you're well, you have to be aware of the things that I talked about for recordings, the extra noises that are there and mouth noises that you're making. And then once you have it recorded, you go through it and you blank out all of the spaces in between sentences. So all of the noise, mouth noise you might be making or room noise.
Oh.
And then you have to run it through a couple of processes that reduce the noise further. And then you have to compress it and then normalize it. It's all this technical stuff. It doesn't take long, but if you don't know what those steps are, it's difficult to meet the standard that is required when you go to upload it at Audible or Kobo or wherever you're going to upload it.
Okay.
So that's the next step, is uploading it.
Did oh shoot. Um oh, did you have to get special computer equipment? I mean, was your laptop or whatever computer you use, was that sufficient?
Yeah, the laptop was sufficient. The thing that I had to do was get a mic, and I had a mic that was one they recommended. It's a dynamic mic, so it really only picks up right what's in front of it. But I do have a bit of a problem in that I'm having difficulty getting the volume high enough. I've maxed out everything I can max out on my computer and the mic, and it still is pretty quiet. So I have to do a little extra work in the technical end of things to get the volume up. It seems to work okay. I've put out the first 3 chapters as a sneak peek
Oh,
audio.
that's great.
Yeah, I can send that link to you.
Yes, I would like to.
I will. I will. I'd love to hear your feedback too, because I know you listen to audiobooks and
I
I
do.
don't really listen to them.
Oh
So,
no, I haven't, and I'm due because I haven't listened to one in a long time. So that would
well, it's
be,
not the whole book, it's just a sample. So
yeah,
don't, yeah, but oh, I'd
I
love to
like
hear
that.
your feedback on that. Yeah.
Sure. I was thinking about when you were talking about how you got a microphone. So when I started this channel with doing the interviews and all, I didn't have, just wasn't sure how to do it exactly. And so my son helped me. He helped me pick out a lot of different equipment and all. So we picked out this microphone. I gotta show it to you. And we didn't realize just how big it was. This thing is massive. So I look like I should be in a studio, but it is the most fantastic microphone I have ever. It is fantastic. This thing
Wow.
is really cool.
What kind
So
is it?
it's it's called Blue.
Ah, that's a Blue Yeti.
Yes.
I've heard of them.
Have you?
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, I have. Yeah,
It
mine's
is.
not nearly as impressive as that one.
Well, I mean, I feel like a fraud because I have this ridiculous microphone, but I'm telling you, it's the best thing I ever bought. And I, it's great. So so well, that's really exciting. And do you have any book ideas for your next you think you'll do
Ooh.
a series again, or do you think you will
Well, I never start off thinking it's going to be a series,
mhm.
although I keep it in the back of my mind because I do, once you've created this world, it's lovely to play in it for a couple of books instead of
Yeah.
just one. So yeah, my next book is about witches and warlocks, and I'm at the plotting stage. The audiobooks are taking up more of my time than I anticipated. So I thought I'd be further along in the writing of the next book by now, but I'm not. And
Mhm.
I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to take my time and enjoy the process. But it's about witches and warlock, and I want to get more magic into my stories because I like writing escapism. I like
Mhm.
people to just when they read my books to be able to forget about some of the troubles in the world and just,
Yeah.
imagine that you can fly or whatever.
Right.
Smite people, you know.
I was just talking about Bewitched the other day with my husband.
I used to love that show. Oh, yeah.
I
I
did
think
too. There's so many great, and like the recurring theme of, Sam isn't supposed to use her witchcraft, and then, she gets into a situation, and, she's at the ad agent. Somehow she's at Darren's ad agency, and something has to be done, and she freezes everyone, and it's just so funny.
it is. It
So,
is. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I probably overloaded on that too much growing up, and hence the people in my books can fly.
oh well, no, I like it. It's very fun, but it's intriguing too. So,
Thank you.
well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been really great.
Oh, it's my
Um, I'm,
pleasure.
I've been excited about having you on, and I learned a lot. And I think anybody who's watching is you've provided a lot of useful information for writers and just everyone in the reading and writing world. So,
Well, I'm
so that's
glad.
really great. So thank you again for coming on. And
You're
if you like
welcome.
this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to subscribe, that would be really great. Totally appreciate that. And if you want to know more about Joanne, check the description in the video. And you will find links there to all of some great stuff, that your website and your books, and anything that everything else that you're working on. You have blog too, so we can it'll direct you to that too. So that's really great, Joanne. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. And uh
Thanks for having me. It's
yeah,
been great. It's been
it's been
fun.
great. It's been really fun. I hope to have you on again another time after all your audiobooks are done, or
It,
sooner. Yeah.
it's
So
a date.
okay, sounds great. All right, thanks again.